All right, so this is fourth period world geography. My name is Mr. Wilson. I am new to Clarksville Academy, but I'm not new to teaching. I'm actually in my 16th year. Primarily I have taught English in the past, but I do have a minor in world history, so it's not that much of a stretch for me to be teaching world geography. I got my bachelor's degree from UT Chattanooga. I did a master's in English literature at Austin Peay. In 2012, I finished a Master's of Education from Trevecca Nazarene in what's called Educational Leadership, which is basically how to be a principal. I did that for a couple of years at a middle school here in town. Wasn't really that crazy about it. Went back to the classroom. In the middle of all that, I also did some additional study at MTSU. I worked on a doctorate there in medieval literature. My wife, I go home to a teacher. She is a PE teacher. We are nothing alike. And then as I've talked about, I have an 18-year-old daughter and a 14-year-old son who will hopefully, if it ever opens, he'll be a freshman this year at Rossview. We actually considered him coming to school with me here, but we let the decision be his, and he has a very tight peer group that he didn't want to leave behind. So for right now, he's going to stay at Rossview and hopefully be successful there. Again, I teach world geography. The link for that is back to my history minor. I also teach 8th grade English, so your child will likely have me 2 years in a row. In addition to those duties, I'm also the intermediate school athletic coordinator. So essentially, I'm the assistant AD. I work with Coach Peterson. My primary focus is middle school athletics, though. So in addition to teaching your child, if your child is an athlete, I will also be checking grades and having those coaching conversations about academics. I may be reaching out to you in that context to keep you up to date on some things. My background in that, I'm a former high school and middle school coach. I'm also a working TWSAA official. Currently, I officiate high school football, and in the past, I've also done baseball and softball. I was not teaching last year. I took a break. I was kind of burned out and felt like I needed to explore some different options and ultimately come to a decision about whether or not I was going to stay in education. So I taught at Trevecca for a semester as an adjunct faculty member there in their English department, and then took some time off. The reason I share that is twofold. Number one, I want you to know how excited I am to be here. I graduated from a school very much like CA, an independent school down in Chattanooga called the Baylor School. I have always loved this kind of environment. Baylor, we are 6th through 12. They added 6th after I left. When I went there, we were 7 through 12. But those were 6 of the best years of my life. I flourished in that environment academically, personally, and so I have always wanted to get back to that context. So being able to join CA's faculty in this community is a blessing for me, and I am excited beyond belief to be here and to work with your kids. Let me get out of this and share a document with you all. So this is essentially our plan of study for world geography. Okay, I'm doing things a little bit differently than they've been done in the past as far as the order that we're addressing. What I am trying to do is to piggyback off of essentially the course of study that they had last year in Western Civ with Ms. Kretz. And so she and I have been working together. She has identified some places where she knows the kids have interest, and it's places where I can jump off with them and capture that interest and build on it, hopefully. But there's also some places where she knows she didn't get to cover what she wanted to cover with them because of circumstances. So she's already given me some things of, hey, if you can talk about this, that will really help me out when they come back to me in the 10th grade for world history. And so I'm really trying to build upon that and fill in those gaps and really help this be a class where everybody really gets something positive out of it. Okay, this does look like a ton of work, and truthfully it is. Okay, but it's going to become routine. What we're starting with in our introduction to geography is introducing the 5 themes of geography. And essentially what we're going to do is take that time and create a common working vocabulary, the language we're going to use to talk about geography as we move around the planet. Okay? So they'll learn those concepts early on, and then we'll start to apply the concepts. We'll apply them first in Central and Southwest Asia, which is going to be the Middle East and like Turkey and the former Russian republics in like the Caucasus regions. And then we're going to move eastward from there. So then we go from Central and Southwest Asia into South Asia, which will be India, Pakistan, Afghanistan, Bangladesh. That's the one I couldn't think of. And then so we work our way around. Every time we encounter one of these new areas, we're going to be repetitive. But every time we repeat something, the idea is that by repeating it, we build our understanding of it. So we're going to apply those 5 themes. We're going to do map activities that will be very similar from region to region. But the notion is every time we do that, the kids learn a little bit more about what those things communicate, what they tell us, what we can learn from them. Okay? I will go ahead and share with you all. You see all of this stuff, right? I had a mom in the previous session who asked about this part of my materials, which is the 12 folders. It does seem excessive, but I want you to understand what I'm doing. Having a 14-year-old at home myself, I have a notion of what your 12 and 13-year-old is like, particularly the boys. And I know in May when we cleaned out a backpack, oh my Lord, it was a train wreck. I literally found papers he had not turned in from September. Okay? So what I'm trying to do is to create a structure for them that will help them be organized. Okay? So the reason for the 12 folders is we basically have 12 units. Every time we finish a unit, we're going to essentially clear out the binder. We're going to take all the materials that we've been dealing with in that unit, take them out of the binder, put them into the folder. The folder then gets labeled with the title. So it'll be Unit 2, Central and Southwest Asia. And it goes into a library at your house. Okay? But as we do recursive things, and as we move through our units of study, what that allows me to do is be able to say, hey, tomorrow we're going to do an activity. I want you guys to bring in your Unit 3 folder because we've already done something similar to this in another unit. I want us to look at what we did before to be able to get ready for what we're doing. So the folders create a way for them to, 1, house their materials in an organized fashion, and then 2, keep everything together so that when we want to go back to an earlier point, we can do that pretty quickly. Okay? The other thing that's big about that is what I told the kids today, which is every time we do a test, there will be a section on that test that refers to the previous units. So in our Unit 2 test, there will be a whole section on that test that deals with concepts from Intro to Geography. On Unit 3, there will be a section on Central and Southwest Asia and a section on Intro to Geography. The idea with that is we're trying to keep, every time you reiterate the information, they build structures in their brain to make it easier to process that information and to retrieve it from their deep memory. That's what we're trying to build, is to build their deep memory so that what they learn in here, they can take with them. And when they do get back next year to American history with Mr. Trent, or in 10th grade when they go back to world history, they can recall this stuff. It's not a use it and dump it. Okay? It also prepares them for the semester exam, which will be cumulative of everything we've done, and the final exam, which will also be cumulative of everything we've done. Okay? What I'm trying to overcome is the notion of, oh, we're in Western Europe, I don't have to think about South Asia anymore. No, you do. Okay? So that's the whole idea behind the folders.
So real quick, I'm sorry. So
No.
do they need to have, throughout the whole year, do they need to have all 12 of those folders in their backpack? Or are you
No.
going to give them, so the 12 folders at our house will have the current one they're working?
They'll have the binder, which
Yep.
is what they're working in.
Okay.
And then the only time they would need a folder is on the day after a test.
Okay.
I'll say, bring your Unit 1 folder in. We're going to take everything from Unit 1 out of the binder, put it in the folder. That folder then goes home, and we hit the reset button on the binder.
Okay. Gotcha.
Just a quick question. My son carries a big binder with
Mhm.
everything in it, so are you okay with him having all that stuff with your dividers, like keeping it either in the front or the back for that, or do you want him to have a separate binder for your class?
My preference personally would be a separate one, but I'm not going to tell him that he's got to carry 2 or 3 binders.
Okay,
If y'all can make it work inside his system with the big binder, do it.
okay.
I'm trying to be somewhat regimented with them, but I understand all kids are different.
Mhm.
You know, I was a legal pad kid. It used to drive my teachers nuts that I took all my notes on legal pads. They wanted spiral notebooks. I don't care as long as you get the notes. You know what I mean? So I'm trying to give them structure, but I'm going to be as flexible as I can as long as they can maintain the structure.
Yeah, I think the no blocker situation is what's really throwing
Yeah.
you off for whack, and everybody having to have one binder
Yes.
and everything else.
Yeah, it does. And I'm trying to be sensitive and work within that, and we're going to do the best we can. Anything else?
Are you presenting notes verbally, or are you doing outlines on your board?
I will always do both.
Okay.
I present slides kind of like what I started with. So my slides, there'll always be a visual element, and there'll always be a verbal element. And I will say what's up there. But what's up there oftentimes will be the bare minimum.
Sure.
So I'm talking, in addition to what's up there, I will talk more. And part of what we're trying to do there is get the kids to build skill to where they understand, get this, but also listen. And while I'm listening and getting this, I've got to add to it. Now, I understand that's a little bit advanced. And so early on, I'll give them as much as I can without overloading them on a particular slide, so that they can sort of get up to speed with that concept. The other thing I will do, I will not do it immediately because I don't want the kids to get into the habit of, oh, I won't take notes because he's going to give us the PowerPoints. I'm not going to do that. But what I will do is, like the night before we go over the review materials, which then the next day we would do the test. So like 2 days before a test, I will share PowerPoints and note things like this via Google Classroom or some other modality.
Okay.
The other thing I'm really trying to get the kids to understand is to daily go back, and I don't want them to like redo what we did in class, but what I'm trying to get them to stress is the idea of, give me 10 minutes. Go home. If we took notes, read over your notes for 10 minutes. Find the hole. Find the sentence that doesn't make sense because you missed a word. Or if that doesn't make sense and you think it's all right, ask Mr. Wilson the next day because maybe I said it the wrong way and I confused you. But if I can just get them to be interacting with the material beyond the 50 minutes they're inside these 4 walls, we can do a ton. Okay?
Will you be doing homework on the weekend, or?
I truly am not huge on homework, and I hate that because I believe there's value in homework, but I also know that too often kids just don't do it. There will be some homework, there will be extended projects and shorter projects, but it's not going to be a regular thing with me. Probably 1 or 2 nights a week would be a homework thing for me, and then you might have a project a month. But I talk to the kids about this too. I do projects and then I do mini projects. So a project, you're going to take 3, 4, 5 weeks and build something up. A mini project, you're going to get it like on a Friday and it'll be due the following Friday. So you get like a weekend in 4 days because it's much smaller. And you'll see if you look at your child's copy of the syllabus, they go into the different grading categories. So one's worth less than the other and all that sort of thing. Okay. All right, I have kept y'all over about 3 minutes, so it's time for you all to rotate the 5th period. Thank you so much for coming. Appreciate it. Y'all, feel free to email me. The only thing I will just make sure you get the right S. Wilson, because there's an upper school student that's an S. Wilson also. My S. Wilson has the number 1 after it.
Number 1.
Thank you.
Thank y'all.
Thank y'all.